One of the very significant economy that God shows His grace and mercy upon a life of an individual, it is His jealousy, the jealousy of God. God is able to take His jealousy and invest it on an individual. That's number one. He's also able to take His jealousy and invest it in a piece of a land, just a piece of land. He is also able to take his jealousy and invest it upon a tribe or a nation, and just own them and give the grace and the favor upon that state. So let's deal with an individual for now. You see, if the jealousy of God is upon your life, everywhere you go, you have it. It is an economy. It's something that you wear. It is invincible, but you wear it and you go with it to a point that even when you are a shepherd boy and you are in the bush, even a lion that cannot discern that the jealousy of God is upon this man, instead of tearing you apart, you will tear it apart, because that economy makes things possible that were not possible. How can a boy of 15, 16 years old kill a lion and a bear by his bare hands? It is the power that comes out of the jealousy of God. So you look at the life of Abraham, you see God's jealousy. You see him walking everywhere he goes with his jealousy. Sometimes this jealousy can just drive you in a place where you get into trouble. But to reveal that jealousy is not just something he speaks, it is something that is real, it's tangible, it has effect. You come out of every trouble you get in. Abraham walked all over the Canaanites' lands with the jealousy of God. He came out of Shechem and went down to Egypt, and the jealousy of God was upon his life. He lied to the Egyptians and said, "She's my sister, she's not my wife," because he was scared that they will kill him and take her because she was beautiful. But the jealousy of God was upon him to a point that anybody who tried to touch Sarah, he was to be killed. It is the works of the jealousy of God. I like the story of David in relation to this jealousy I'm talking about. One day he goes to his old friend Nabal, and he sends his men to Nabal, and he's in the jungle. And the man goes to Nabal. They find him partying and drinking and just enjoying himself because he's now the big dog. Wow, the cat's dog. Wow, cat's meow. Wow. He's big. He's influential. He's rich. And they says, our master have sent us to come and ask for bread because we are starving in the jungle there. And this man, because of his pride and all that, he goes, "Who's David? Who's the son of Jesse? Who do you think David is that you can come here and demand my bread, my wine, that I must take some of my children and my servants' bread and give this boy called David? I have no business to do with David." The Bible says the wife of Nabal was hearing the answers of her husband, and she took some bread in hiding and took some wine and hid them and set for the journey to go meet David. And she said, "My Lord, please forgive my husband. He's just a fool. He's drunk. Everything he said is out of alcohol. Please forgive him." Because she knew what God has invested upon David. And she knew in which area of life, or in how does this jealousy is manifested. He was a warrior. So the winning and the victories of David was based and birthed out of the jealousy of God. And even though the wife pleaded on behalf of Nabal, God still struck Nabal, and he died at the end of the day. He got sick for 7 days and then he died. And David went and married the wife of Nabal. All that was because of the jealousy of God. You have to be careful when you come to a place where the jealousy of God is. You see, the same place where the three beings sat and ate out of the meat prepared by the servants of Abraham, and they said next year in a time like this, Sarah will be having a child, is the same place where Jacob, some years later, sat and slept and saw the angels going up and down, because that was Bethel. It was the camp of God. That's where God sits and eat. That's where God sits and do business with men. It was the place, or it is the place set apart, and God invested his jealousy upon that place. So God can also choose an area, a piece of land, just a place, and say this is the mountain of God. Anybody who comes up in here, you better know what you are doing. Take off your shoes, because the place you are about to step in, it's a holy ground. I have set and invested my jealousy upon that place. God can also invest his jealousy upon a tribe that comes to become a big family or a nation. Because if you study the life of Jacob and his family, everywhere they went, they became big. If you give them a job of being shepherds, they become better and powerful shepherds. You take one of his sons to be a slave, he'll be brilliant slave. You take him to jail, he'll succeed in jail, because it is the tribe in which God has invested his jealousy. It is the economy that you can't necessarily work for, because God chooses. In the book of Romans chapter 9, we hear God says, you know what, I chose Jacob and chose to love him, and then I chose Esau and chose to hate him. So the jealousy of God can be upon a person, and you better be careful how you do your dealings with a person who has the jealousy of God, because at the end of the day, you'll go naked in public, because God will cease to be a good father, a father of love and mercy, and be a judge, because God is not only the father of love, he's also a great judge. There is the wrath of God, where he makes and passes his judgment upon the earth, upon creation. He's a judge. Even though he loves, he's a judge. And it is because of the jealousy that he has on an individual, on a family, on a church, on a nation. Be careful who you deal with, because God can turn the tables around and people will marvel, is this the one we know? Only to find that you have dealt ill with someone whose God has invested his jealousy upon. Be blessed.